We're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, Michigan City, Indiana. We had a great meeting this morning in Michigan City Now. An exciting day here in the city, another beautiful day in the city, but we have a brief agenda for our special meeting this evening. So, Deb, if you would notice that, I think all board members are here with the exception of Pat Kowalski, and so that's the roll call. We are sorry we're a little bit late here. We had an executive session prior to this, and there's a lot to talk about there. And Mr. Cernak, did you want to comment on our executive session?
Nothing was discussed during the executive session that was not permitted by the open door law. No decisions were made.
Thank you. And I do want, so our first item on the agenda of business is item number 3, the bid award for Bozak Honda project. And Mr. Cernak and Mr. Reardon, if you'd like to go with that. Maybe we should have Mr. Reardon just give a little summary of the Bozak project. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, just.
I appreciate it very much.
By the way, I appreciate you coming this morning to our
No,
meeting and
that's
having
fine.
the Bozak folks there too. So thank you.
We planned. And on behalf of Greg Bozak, I want to extend his apology. We were scheduled to meet up front about 4:15, and he is hammered in traffic.
Could be.
One of our next consultants is also stuck in traffic.
While he's working his way here, he did want me to extend his apologies. This, I think everyone remembers our initial discussion, probably about a year ago.
It's been going on a while.
Yeah, and
I think the first community discussion might have been 4 or 5 months.
okay.
Right.
But you know, the Bozaks are here in the community, and they have an opportunity working with Honda to make a new dealership, a showcase dealership in, I understand, the first of its type in the Chicagoland, perhaps the Midwest region. And they wanted to take advantage of that opportunity, but like all projects, very costly. And they sought the city's help. Initial conversations were about tax abatement, location, enterprise zone, proximity to TIF, so forth. And we kept at it, both of us. And our first meeting, as you said, was probably 5-6 months ago. Cutting to the chase, what the project is about is the Bozaks are proposing and are prepared to initiate a project that is nearly, well, it's over $3.5 million all in. Real estate purchase, building, pardon me, not real estate purchase, but new construction, personal property. This project will maintain an approximate workforce of 50 individuals. We'll add an expected 10 new positions. Many of those positions are technically orientated. With that, there's a higher salary range expectations, but and not to diminish the importance of the administrative positions or clerk positions, they also have those positions available as well. And that's the approximate $30,000 annual range with benefits to, if I recall Greg's figure, for that top end technician, well over
6 figures.
6 figures. And the Bozaks look forward to continuing, I should say, to work with the municipality in identifying those qualified Michigan City residents and giving that resident first consideration to hire. They're using union companies, no issue there. And as the commission knows, working with Larson Danielson on the project, and really appreciate the commission's consideration in the investment in the project. Excited how the bids came in.
Yeah.
Pleased with that. It's a good situation to be in. And so again, project well over $3.5 million, personal and real property, maintaining approximate 50 jobs that are in place. Excited about what this property will look like once it's done. Tearing down the former Chrysler dealership. New dealership there. Once that property's vacated, we'll look to, again, work with the city. Maybe you have someone who's looking for property. If not, we'll go to market and look to fill that building with a compatible user. But
We'll work with Clarence Hulse and the EDC primarily.
Mhm.
Also, as I recall, there's considerable competition for this project, and that it could have gone to another community very easily.
yes, it could have. I don't pretend to understand all of the geography that comes into play with dealerships, but there was some latitude afforded the Bozaks here in their dealer area. So I'll leave it in saying this: communities to the immediate east and communities to the immediate west were in consideration.
Thank you. So I also understand that they work closely with the planning department on the structure itself. So I think all the issues have been worked out. So just we're on a tight schedule.
Yeah,
Turn over to Mr. Cyranek
Right.
here.
Well,
Yeah, thank you.
Just, we have the planning department's approved the overall design of the new building. The sanitary district has approved the plans for their area of expertise. We have signed an economic development agreement, I think following our last meeting earlier this month. Bozak has signed it as well. We had a mandatory bid conference a couple of weeks ago in which various contractors came to the site to ask questions, see the requirements of the project. We had a bid opening last Friday. Larson Danielson then took the bids that were submitted to review them for responsiveness and lowest bidder. And they're prepared to make a recommendation tonight. Does everybody else have this, or did you just send that to me? Just send it to me. Okay, all right. So, it's Tony Oss from Larson Danielson.
So Tony, if you could just state your name again,
Yep.
please.
Good afternoon, Tony Oss, Larson Danielson Construction. I am the Director of Pre-Construction Services, and here representing our project manager for the project and President Tim Larson, who's been handling this project. As Mr. Cernick advised, we had a bid opening on Friday. There were bids submitted on 2 of the 3 packages that were up for bid. So we had a bid package 1, which was for excavation, demolition, and site utilities. Bid package 2 was for some of the skin portions of the building, and bid package 3 was a very small package for landscaping, in which we did not receive any bids on that package. We were fortunate to have a number of good bidders. I think we had 4 bidders on the bid package 1 and 2 on bid package 2. What we're recommending this evening, we had a favorable outcome. We were within budget, in fact under budget from what we had anticipated. So what we are recommending tonight via the letter that I provided to Mr. Cernick is an award to D&M Excavating of Michigan City for bid package 1 in the amount of $204,582, which includes base bid 1 and alternate number 1 for the project. And bid package 2, we're recommending an award to Babilla Roofing and Sheet Metal from Gary, Indiana, in the amount of $79,200, which includes base bid 2 and alternate 2. To the best of what I could review and understand, everyone had signed off on all the documentation, but obviously I think the final execution of that contract, I believe, is going to come through the Redevelopment Commission. So,
Tony, if you could address one issue. We always get concerned about these things. When you compare the 4 bids for bid package 1 and alternative 1, there's a substantial difference between 3 of the bidders and D&M.
absolutely.
If you could explain what you believe the significant difference being.
Well, as a part of our due diligence and reviewing these bids, we did notice there was quite a disparity there between D&M's proposal and the other 3 contractors. We did speak to D&M just to kind of do some due diligence and make sure they're comfortable with their proposal. They are. I will say that this is, being that D&M is a local contractor, I think that's one thing that was in their favor. They did review the site. They were there at the pre-bid meeting. They walked the site and examined the building that they were going to have to demolish. And were honestly, they from what they had originally budgeted, I think in their mind on this project, they found it to be more favorable than what they actually had originally budgeted. That's why their proposal came in so competitive. I think all four contractors are good contractors, but I would also speak to the fact that D&M is obviously a well-respected contractor in the city of Michigan City, and we've worked with them numerous times before. So I don't have any particular concerns.
So, right. So, and you're confident that they'll be able to meet the specifications of the bid,
I am.
and we're not going to get a big change order coming through here for requesting for something unforeseen.
I would not anticipate that at all, sir. I reviewed the scope with them this morning and discussed all the components of the project. So I don't think so. I don't think so.
So I know that one of the things we talked about on Friday after the bidders had left was the fact that they're the only local ones, so we don't have the enormous cost as it relates for mobilization.
Well, that is definitely a large consideration when you're moving heavy equipment around, and you have to haul materials to and from different locations. He may have a distinct advantage in that condition. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, any other questions? I'm sorry, other comments, Alan?
Just if you approve the recommendation tonight, the only other thing that we have left to do is, as far as our end on this project, which we can handle by the time of our next meeting, would be a license agreement with Bozak that allows us then to go on the property to do the work that's being recommended tonight.
Questions from the commissioners?
Personally, my plan would be I think we would procure some additional proposals for that and potentially add that.
And because the dollar amounts of that is going to be substantially lower, we're not going to have to worry about bidding that as much as requesting quotes.
Right.
So we'll get
Yeah,
to
it
that when
falls,
we get
it
to
falls
that.
within the thresholds of our
right.
quote.
So when we get to that point of the
Option.
project, we can talk further on how to get to
Okay.
what we're required to do to get that done.
Okay.
It's a pleasure of the commission.
Chairman, I'd move to accept the bid of D&M, base bid of $197,242, and the alternate bid of $73,040 for a total bid package of $204,580.
Support.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And what's the pleasure of the commission relative to the sheet metal and roofing?
Make a motion to accept the bid by Babilla Roofing for $68,694 and alternate two for $10,506 for
Support.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. So just approximately completion, startup completion, what's the timeline about?
I'd have to, and to be honest, I'd have to kind of defer to the project manager. I don't think anything's going to change. I think the goal is going to be to start as quickly as possible. So I think pending maybe the final licensing agreement and final release of permit and getting prepared and getting all the contract documents signed, we would start.
By this fall, or is it a next spring thing?
This is definitely a next spring. Yeah. I don't know if this was a full, complete and operational by the end of fall.
We'd love it done by Halloween.
Yeah, I understand.
Greg Bozak just joined us, so
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
he was
for
probably
that.
stuck in the same traffic as John Blasky, so they were both stuck in traffic.
So anyway, thank you for your investment in our community. Obviously, you have this commission's support, and I'm very confident you'll have the support of the entire community. So thank you so much. You guys have been great corporate citizens for everyone, and thank you. All right, so next item on the agenda, item number 4, 709 Franklin Street update and approval of change order number 1. Would you like to run through this? Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just going to defer to John.
Excuse me.
He can explain pretty briefly what we're talking about with regard to this change order, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you. John Blasky with Miracle Engineering. Mayor, good to see you. Commissioners. I was going to start off with a real apology for this traffic and running late, but I can skip that now.
Nice.
So,
Plus, you weren't the only one.
yes. So what I have here is a change order. We're having a problem with all the rain we've had, for one. I just read a report, 24 days of rain in the month of May. And of course into this. We do have that underground stream, but that's nothing compared to the rain. So this change order, what it does for 709 Franklin is we are putting in stone and then a fabric and then backfilling on top of that.
hopefully the wind will come out of the south and pull some of that water out to the lake as well. Also on this change order, the cost for that is $35,238. But also on this change order, we had some allowances in the bid. One was for Marquee Electric to remove the ornamental light poles and then store them and put them back. We put a $3,000 allowance in there because we weren't sure of the cost. It only cost $1,572, so we're deducting that out of their contract. And then salvaging of the stone facade, that was going direct with ton and blank through the city, so we're deducting the $14,500 allowance for that out of the contract as well. So the total change order is to increase the job cost $19,310.
As I understand it too, is part of this activity is also to make sure that we still maintain a good foundation for future building on the south side of the plaza. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this is work in preparation of the future development site.
Yeah, if it was just a lot,
cleared,
we
right.
just dump the sand in there, backfill it as good as they can. But because it's being used during the summer, and we already have some settling, and just trying to do this as best as possible because this is the location where a building's supposed
We
to
also
go.
consulted with part of our design team and construction team for the plaza, just on this option, to make sure that this was the right option for the project, and they concurred with that.
And Steve will be at the next meeting to answer more questions if you may have about that.
So, any other questions, Alan?
Just one question is,
Yes, sir.
and I'm sorry if you said this already, was the groundwater level, was it anticipated to be this level, or was higher than anticipated?
It's higher than anticipated. Yeah, typically we had just a few inches because there's an underground stream passing through there on the east end of the building. But we probably it's probably a foot higher than that because of the rain and weather conditions.
And your recommendation is to move ahead of this also? Correct?
Yes, I've reviewed this with Marico and, like I said, with our project team for the plaza project as well, and I would recommend approval of the change order as presented.
Very good. So what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move for approval of the change order.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good to go.
Thank you.
Now, can you fish in that stream? I keep hearing about this.
Well, it is called it is called
Possibly.
I think it's called Fish Lake Creek or something like that.
Oh, is it?
All right.
Fish Creek or Fish Lake Creek, yeah.
Right.
So
And I do believe that we have one little, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you,
Appreciate it, John. So I do believe we have one kind of non-agenda item, which could be brief, so Abby May?
actually, I don't know if Abby's.
Maybe not, okay, or maybe, so, why don't you
I don't
review it,
see Abby.
Craig, if you could, so.
I don't have the.
Oh,
I don't have the details in front of me.
yeah, okay, I got it, so.
Essentially, what this is a request. I don't have the dollars in front of me, I should say.
$800.
Okay, $800. All right. So essentially, what this is a request being made by the Main Street Association based on their experience recently with a couple of different events where there has been a need for water for the vendors in those events, and we've been notified that there's some concerns about the water capacity available through the hydrants and the use of the hydrants on Franklin Street and in other properties. Okay, so the water department notified us that the water system can't support the size of the type of events that we're having by using hydrants for that purpose, and there's some concerns about that. So what they're suggesting is the installation of what they call yard hydrants, which would better serve the purpose of the water needs for this. And there's a total cost of about $800 for the installation of those. And in keeping with some of the other improvements we've made in order to facilitate downtown events and other economic development related to those downtown events, I would recommend that we approve the $800 to install the yard hydrants, as they're called, in the in areas along.
Who's installing those? The water department itself?
We've consulted with a local contractor to install those, but I guess in consultation with the at the request of and at the recommendation of the water department.
And they'll be located
Along Franklin Street.
how many?
Let's see.
We don't have no paper. I'm just.
I know. I don't. And
800 seems pretty cheap.
I'm not sure where Abby.
Well, my sense they can use them at multiple locations.
Yeah, these can be moved to different locations. Instead of the type of meter using a fire hydrant like we have in the past, we would tap into the system using a yard hydrant, it's called. And so it's basically the cost of the meter.
Okay, so these things won't be out there all the time.
No, just as needed.
So it can be used over and over again for multiple events.
And moved to
It does
different-
need some water type of thing, so.
And move to different
And I
locations.
apologize
But
for not getting any paper. My neighbor's gonna be here and give
Not
us a little
sure.
overview on it, but I thought a modest request from Main Street for a capital spend, so. Anyway, so what's the pleasure of the commission? Do we wanna vote or table or
I move to approve.
Support.
moved and seconded? Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Maybe they could show us a diagram in the next
Yeah.
meeting or something, just like.
yeah, we'll get more of an update at the next
Can't
meeting
picture it.
on what they look like exactly and that sort of thing. We expected Abby to be here, so
Right, so any word of signal last item, any public comment this evening? Public comment? Any public comment? All right, hearing none,
we're going to adjourn to the
yes.
EOC room across the hall for the workshop
So we have a workshop coming up on the plaza,
and
and also we have some conversation relative to the purchase of properties for the double track. Not the front end of that.
Uniform Relocation Act aspects of the
Right.
purchase.
All right, so move to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn.
Or adjourned, thank you.